Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special virtual conversation. We are the Seneca Project. I am Tara Setmayer, co-founder. This is Michelle Kinney, my co-founder of the Seneca Project and the Chief Creative Officer. We are so thrilled to bring this virtual conversation to you guys tonight with an incredible group of democracy warriors, supporters of women, and just cultural icons. I'm excited, not just because of the work that we're doing and the fact that we're all delirious from this election, but because the group of folks that we're bringing to you guys tonight that have come together to talk about why this election is important, why it's important to support women, what's at stake for us in this election, and why they support the Seneca Project and our work to galvanize women to help save democracy. And we are a bipartisan organization. For those who are just joining us and are unfamiliar with our work at the Seneca Project, you can go to senecaproject.us and see our content. Please follow us on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter so you can be the first, and sign up for on our website. You can be the first to see our content when it comes out. But we are a bipartisan super PAC targeting moderate women in the swing states because we firmly believe that women are going to be the determining factor in this election to defeat MAGA and elect Kamala Harris. It's really up to us. There's more on the line for us, like literally, than for everybody else. There's a lot on the line, but it's literally life or death for women. So tonight we have for you, we're going to have Mary Trump, Mark Hamill, the Jedi Master himself. We have the amazing Alex Borstein, the incomparable Tony Shalhoub. We've got former Congressman Denver Riggleman, who's our favorite girl dad and advisory board member. And we have Ryan Hamilton as well. If you have not heard the unbelievable story, the heartbreaking story of his wife and what she went through in Texas, having a miscarriage, you have to stay and listen to Ryan Hamilton. He's an incredible advocate for reproductive rights, and what his family has gone through is a living, breathing example of what is going on in this country thanks to Trump's abortion bans and what the rest of the country could look like if Donald Trump gets elected. So we're going to get going. Michelle, you want to say a few words before we bring in Mary, or introduce our first ad, actually?
Oh yeah, let's show our first ad. Funny story with this. When Tara and I were thinking about starting the Seneca Project, and we were thinking, oh gosh, what is our first ad going to be? How can we target this audience that's, straight down the middle and come from both sides? I'm a lifelong Democrat. Tara spent 27 years in the Republican Party. So yeah. She told me about an old Reagan speech, Time for Choosing. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I was like, we don't sit around listening to Reagan speeches. Funny enough, I went through and I read the entire speech, and I was like, you know what, there's a lot of great stuff here, a lot of good stuff to pull from. So this is what we launched with on MSNBC on June 18th with Nicole Walz, and we would love to show this to you now, A Time for Choosing.
Yes.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
We trust women.
There's a threat facing women in America that transcends party lines.
My country doesn't care about me.
And it's time we ask ourselves,
Won't go back.
Do we still value the freedoms we have fought so hard for?
We should all have the care that we need.
This election is a choice, and it is a time for choosing. We're told we have to choose between left or right, but we know what the real choice is. It's a choice between our freedom or their control, between our right to determine our own destinies or Donald Trump. So seriously, America, what the hell are we doing? We can't sit on the sidelines while women in America suffer and die because a right we once had has now been criminalized. If we don't make the right choice, there's no state to escape to. There's no going back. Choosing who will shape our future is a right we still have left for now. And that choice is up to us.
Yes. Now it still slaps. It's still a banger.
As the kids say.
That's right. As the cool kids say. I mean, I'm not that cool anymore, but we're all cool tonight. And I think it sets a really great tone because right now people are voting. It is the time for choosing is right now. And in these final weeks, it's really important that we raise money so that we can get the ads like that and some of the more content you're going to see of ours as the night goes on the air in these battleground states, because it is incredibly tight. And this is going to be one in the margin. So on that note, we're going to bring in someone who knows a little something about Donald Trump and the importance of the time for choosing. And that is our good friend and Seneca Project Advisory Board member, Mary Trump. Mary, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. And as you guys know, I'm so honored to be on the board. I love this organization. I think you guys are filling a void that desperately needed to be filled. So I'm just happy to do whatever I can, because as you know, I think this is one of the most defining issues of our time.
Well, we appreciate you. You were one of our very first supporters and you helped us launch, and you have been there with us every step of the way. And we're thrilled to have you and your insight and your passion. And, you know, it's come at great cost for a lot of us who have spoken out and have taken on Donald and MAGA. And, for you and everything you've been through, you've written 2 books. Your first book was incredibly illuminating. And now you have a book out called Who Could Ever Love You, a family memoir that dives even deeper into what it's like being a Trump. When we're going to show this video that we have out right now, and then I want to get your thoughts on it, because I think you can fully appreciate the sentiment behind this one, because Donald's out here saying that he's a protector of women. Really? No, we said no.
Right there.
Right.
Yeah.
More like a predator. Take a look.
I always thought women liked me.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
I make this statement to the great women.
Questionable comments about a young girl.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it? I am your protector.
Carol opening her testimony today saying, quote, "I'm here because Donald Trump raped me."
I want to be your protector.
5 former Miss Teen USA contestants told BuzzFeed that Trump did in fact walk in on them while they were changing.
And so I sort of get away with things like that. You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared.
Donald held back Ivana's arms and began to pull out fistfuls of hair from her scalp.
You're not going to be in danger any longer.
I turned around and I see Donald standing there. I'm thinking, this son of a bitch just grabbed me.
Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free.
Trump called Epstein a terrific guy, adding, "It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side."
You will no longer be thinking about abortion.
They're going to just let me bleed out here.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah.
You will be protected, and I will be your protector. Women. I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade. I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Killing Roe v. Wade.
Did we get it? Did we get it right, Mary?
Oh, you nailed it. That's incredibly powerful. I've seen that ad before, but it still gets me for many, many reasons. One, that we still need to have this conversation. I understand that it can feel demoralizing, and I hope that we don't allow ourselves to become demoralized, because that's what they want. They want us not to feel hope anymore. But also because Donald may be one of the most misogynistic people I've ever met. I don't think I've met anybody who disrespects women as much as he does, and I understand why. So I also therefore understand that it is woven into the fabric of who this person is. After I heard him say that he would be the protector of women, I basically said the only way to stay safe from Donald Trump is never to be alone in a room with him.
Yeah.
Or a woman. So, yeah.
It's crazy how many people just dismiss this. The evidence is so overwhelming, but yet that so many women, particularly white women, and we've been talking about this since 2016, about how Donald Trump actually won the majority of white women in 2016 and then increased in 2020. But now, and we just saw, which is interesting, which actually just came out yesterday, I believe, some statistics about how white women are actually moving toward Kamala Harris. And this could be the first election ever where a Democrat wins the majority of white women, which is very validating for our work and what we're doing. It means that the message is getting through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the reasons your work is so valuable, but it also points to an underlying issue that we need to continue to address. We cannot underestimate the extent to which there are many, many women in this country who are also misogynists. My Aunt Mary Ann was one of the most misogynistic women I'd ever met, or people, I should say. And she was a federal court judge. You know, she was not living some sheltered life where she was being told what to do all the time and didn't have the ability to step outside and take a broader world view. I mean, she did have those opportunities, and yet the contempt with which she spoke about women was so alarming and jarring that it just you should have heard the way she spoke about Hillary Clinton. I mean, it was just incredible. So that is something that we're going to have to figure out. And unfortunately, obviously, we'd all much rather not be in this place where Roe v. Wade was overturned and where we have a corrupt, illegitimate supermajority in the Supreme Court that is gunning for other privacy rights like birth control. We know they're going after IVF. We would much rather not be in this position. But since we are, I think it's extraordinarily important to leverage it to our benefit and help educate women in a way maybe they didn't have the opportunity to be, which again is why your work is crucial at this juncture in our societies, at the point our society is at the moment.
Yes. And that's a good point, because sometimes you don't have allies. Just because you're a woman doesn't automatically make you an ally.
No. As
right?
I always say, I'm like, you know, a lot of people hate women. Some people hate women, and some of those people are women, you know, and I think we all have our theories as to why. I mean, it's there's no seats at the table. You know, you have to make room for yourself. But Mary, I'm curious to your opinion. Why do you think this is? Why do you think that it is white women specifically that are really just seem to have it out for each other, and we can't put our own best interest at heart when we're voting?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a multifaceted answer, but I think there are a couple of fundamental issues. One is that by virtue of being white women have access to white privilege. So that makes them feel, if you'll forgive the use of the word, protected in a way other women may not be. Also, it's in the bones of our society. We are a fundamentally racist and misogynistic country because we were from the beginning, and neither of those issues has ever been adequately or appropriately addressed.
Yeah.
Left unchecked, they continue to be problems. And I think we also have the intersection of misogyny and some fundamentalist religions that teach women that they are subservient, and that's just the way it is. So it's again, it's complicated, but I think if it's the kind of issue that if it becomes part of our consciousness,
yes,
a long way in changing things for the better.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things, and I wanted to play this for you, and then we're going to continue our conversation and also welcome everyone that's joining us. We see people are steadily joining us, and that's amazing. We've got Mark Hamill coming up. We've got Alex Borstein coming up. We've got Tony Shalhoub. So thank you, everybody. We're starting off with Mary and talking about Donald Trump. And, you know, some of the psychology behind why some women still support him and what's at stake here. So we showed Predator. We want to show you this one. It's called One Heartbeat, because we just put this out. Michelle got this great idea over the weekend after Kamala Harris released her medical records and Trump did not. And we've been watching Trump lately, and we can all see that he's not the same guy. He's never really been a healthy guy to begin with, but he's looking extra, I don't know what's going on with him. He is 78 years old, but people need to be reminded that JD Vance is one 78-year-old cheeseburger, Diet Coke heartbeat away from the presidency. God forbid they win. Take a look.
If elected, Trump would be the oldest president ever inaugurated, but his campaign still refuses to release his detailed medical record.
What's he hiding? A heartbeat away from him is J.D. Vance.
Quite literally one heartbeat away from the presidency.
Trump is not a fit guy.
Heartbeat away from the presidency.
This man is not well.
Heartbeat away.
78 years old.
I will very quickly deflate defeat.
He may not make it.
The vice president becomes the president. Automatically.
What did we learn about what the Vance presidency would be like?
Roe versus Wade is an abomination.
He said rape is inconvenient.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Childless cat ladies.
Project 2025.
It's a 900-page document. I guarantee there are things that Trump likes.
I'm very happy with the JD pick. Think of him as a member version of what we do.
Kevin Roberts is a friend of mine.
Bloodless, if the left allows it to be.
What an amazing coup this would be for Peter Thiel.
You've benefited from your friendship with Peter Thiel.
Sure.
$15 million.
Do the people who fund your campaigns actually share your values?
He's palling around with people who are skeptical of the 19th Amendment.
If you got women to have more children.
J.D. Vance wants to allow the tracking of women's menstrual cycles.
You have people using abortion basically as another form of birth control.
Trump refuses to release even the most basic information about his health.
First of all, I would be remiss if I didn't also say, why do women vote against their own self-interest? A lot of women are afraid of their male partners. There's that. So let's not forget about that. The reason I was laughing despite the horror that I just watched, I mean, it's an amazing ad, but the substance of it is quite terrifying because the Republican Party will do anything to drag Donald Trump across the finish line. So we have a triumvirate of J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk. And if that's not enough to keep you up at night, I don't think it is. But what's funny in a sick way is that Donald being president isn't enough to get us to come to our senses.
We need more than that, apparently.
Oh my gosh. It's just, it's another instance in how so much has been let slide, how desperately many of the corporate media have needed to normalize Donald's behavior so that it's
brainwashing.
Vance who seems aberrant, because let's be clear, if somehow Donald became president and lasted for 4 years, he'll do whatever his puppet masters want him to do, whether that's Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, or Vladimir Putin.
Well, we are here working our asses off to make sure that never happens again. And that's what we're doing here with Seneca Project. And Mary, we're so grateful for you hopping on, chatting with us for a little bit. If you want to hang out with us, please do. Folks are going to send in some questions. We're going to go and bring in Mark Hamill in a couple minutes. But first, we want to bring in former Congressman Denver Riggleman to talk a little bit about the extremism that's going on, because this is nuts. Den, welcome. Fresh off the Harris event today, Republicans in Pennsylvania. We appreciate you making the stop and hopping on with us. Former Congressman Denver Riggleman of Virginia. Not only is he a former congressman, but he's also a national security badass. And he is one of our first Seneca Project supporters. He's on our advisory board, our favorite girl dad, and his wife makes incredible whiskey. They own a distillery called Silverback down there in Afton, Virginia. And I am having a cocktail as we have this conversation because we need to.
Amen, sister.
Thank you for joining us. And I want you to talk for a couple minutes before we bring in Ryan and Mark and then Alex and Tony about the Christian nationalist extremism that absolutely is soaked in misogyny. They hate women. Are we imagining this? Are we overstating this?
No, the fortunate thing with me, and it's so great to be here, there's a star-studded cast after me. So I'm going to just tee it up for these amazing individuals. They know, they're smiling right now because, I'm wearing a pink shirt, coming back, coming back from the Harris event. But, talking about daughters, I have 3 of them. I'm in my daughter's basement right now because I had to stop by to get on this because there was no way I was going to miss this. Thank you for inviting me to do this. It's an honor to be part of the Seneca Project. And when you're talking about why I'm here, it's because I have 3 daughters, 3 granddaughters. But also, I think there's so many people with children who are looking at the craziness going on with the misogyny, the sort of the Christian nationalism thing that's going on right now that should scare people. And, Tara, Michelle, I'm going to be quick, but I was raised very religious, as you both know, very religious. I mean, when you're raised Mormon and Southern Baptist, let me tell you, you could be.
Oh, I didn't know about both.
That's correct. Both. Yeah.
Wow.
I would get shown videos sometimes at my grandparents' house about Mormons. It's great. What a way to live. Now I own a distillery. You can see how everything stuck with me. But,
yeah.
But, when I was in the United States Air Force Intelligence, I was looking at radicalism. I was very good in the counterterrorism space. I'm still doing that with my new company again, my 3rd one. And, I was Air Force Intelligence. So here's the issue. It seems like you have a lot of individuals who claim to be Christians, and I say claim, that are out there, and it seems like all of them color their beards the same. So if you see a beard that's blacker than their hair, they're sometimes Christian nationalists. But it's incredible to me what they're saying, where women's right to vote. The fact is they can't push back on anybody who says, hey, like J.D. Vance, are you going to have something where there's some kind of issue if a woman tries to leave a state, right? If she needs health care, is she going to be tracked? And people not being able to answer those questions, it's incredible to me. It seems like women in this new far-right MAGA universe are put on this level that is absolutely egregiously grotesque to actually real men and women everywhere. When you talk about what you're drinking there, Tara, my wife, Christine, right? She runs everything on the distillery side, right? We have distilleries in Virginia and Pennsylvania. I'm just the arm candy. I'm just the pretty face on that. But I think we're to a point with the radical types of ideas you see being pushed forth. You see this, it almost looks like it's a more intellectual way to copy Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, the base, and other types of not just white nationalists, right, or Christian nationalists, but almost this white nationalist type of subterfuge that's going on for women's rights across America. I'm just not going to allow that to happen.
Well, that's important for people to know, because just because we're a women's organization doesn't mean that we don't appreciate our male allies.
Absolutely.
And it was
Couldn't
really
do it
important.
without you.
That's right. It was really important that we made sure that we included them. And that's why folks like you and Mark and Tony and others who have been supportive of what Seneca is doing, that you guys are vocal about that, and we wanted to feature you. And part of some of the extremism that we've seen, and we put this ad out, and what we're doing tonight and in raising money for Seneca. And if you want to go to senecaproject.us, or you can go to the QR code to help raise money, because we're trying to raise the money so that we can put these ads on the air. So like if everybody who's watching now gave $10, we could raise $100,000, and that's a 6-figure buy. And these ads would go up in Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina. These are the places where this election is going to be won. So that's why we're doing that. So keep those donations
people are
coming
voting.
in.
People are voting every day. The early voting has started.
Yes.
And so, I think about, there's a lot of undecided voters in this election. And, it's crazy to me how anyone could be undecided, but, these aren't people who are plugged in like you and I are, or the people watching tonight. And, they're sometimes changing their mind before they go in. So if they're seeing a message that's powerful to them and moves them emotionally and makes them think of what's at stake for them and their families and for the country, I mean, therein lies the difference right there.
That's right.
Men feel this acutely like me, right? Women are going to feel this more acutely, much more, right? Because they're actually the victims of this. So how can I actually even get to that space where I even know how it feels? If I'm already this worried, how worried are women around the country, right? When they're seeing these bizarre statements coming out from a presidential campaign. But when you're talking about giving, I want to make a plea directly to the people watching and listening to this. The two people you see right here, there's a reason that they have these superstars here, and they've allowed me to latch onto them. But I think it's amazing they have these superstars because these are two of the most honest people that I've ever met. They have integrity, and they're doing this because it's the right thing to do. So if you're going to give, and everybody's out there, hey, if you want to give $1, great. If you want to give $10, great. But if there's 1,000 people on here and you each give $100, do you know what that does for this organization? Because you're looking at the organization, the people behind the scenes, their comms, their PR people, they're fantastic. These two here, the reason people are actually attracted to this is because of these two individuals and how much that they want to make sure that women's rights are still part of the broad fabric of what makes us Americans. That's why I'm so happy to be here. And that's why you have the people that are here today. So just open up your pocketbooks for God's sakes and do that, please. And you never know, when you come to my distillery, you might get a free shot. I'm just saying.
First of all, Den, you're going to make me cry. All right. And there's no crying tonight.
No.
But thank you. You're a sweetheart. And if you have Seneca Project gear, I'm wearing my This Cat Lady Votes gear. You can go to our website and get it. We have all kinds of cool stuff there. If you show up at Denver's distillery with any Seneca Project gear.
Oh, you're on. If you have Seneca Project swag, it's freaking drunk time in the Appalachians, baby.
Denver, you are too much, and we love you and appreciate you. And we're going to bring in Ryan Hamilton now because his story is unbelievably compelling, and I think it's important for people to know. As another girl dad, thank you, Denver, we love you. As another girl dad and a husband who has been an incredible advocate for his wife, Ryan, I'm so thrilled to have you. I'm so sorry that we became friends because of the tragedy that you and your family have gone through, but I'm appreciative of the fact that we are in this fight together, and your story was part of the reason why Michelle and I started the Seneca Project. We felt so compelled to make sure that we told these stories. And I want to start with about a minute of your video that you recently released. For those who are not familiar with Ryan Hamilton's story, take a look.
These are the steps I took through our bedroom into the bathroom where I discovered my wife, unconscious, cold, and lifeless in a pool of her own blood. She bled for 4 days after being denied the care she needed because of the Texas abortion ban. Since going public with our story, we've been attacked relentlessly. Liar, political propaganda. If that really happened, name the hospitals. This is SurePoint Emergency Center in Stephenville, Texas. On Thursday, May 16th at 8 p.m., we learned our baby no longer had a heartbeat. My wife had an incomplete miscarriage. She was sent home with a prescription for misoprostol. It went very wrong. So we returned Saturday, May 18th, where the doctor said, considering the current stance, I'm not going to prescribe you any more medicine without providing any other option. My wife stood right here in this parking lot, bleeding, scared to death, with the child we lost inside of her. We drove to another hospital, an hour away in Granbury, Texas. This is Lake Granbury Medical Center. On Saturday, May 18th, they started all over. A new scan.
That's just a portion of Ryan's story. Ryan, I just want you to talk a little bit briefly about what happened after that and why you're so passionate about this fight in this election.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be asked. Thankful to call you both friends. Never thought I'd be here. But if I'm going to be, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it all the way. So after we went to that hospital, what happened was they started all over. That was our second hospital and our third trip. We already knew that we'd lost the baby, but they had to start the process again there, a new scan, all of the things, the poking and prodding and the questions, only to figure out what we already knew, that our baby died. And she desperately needed a procedure called a DNC. Mm-hmm. And we asked for one. And what happened is they went away. They disappeared for hours and hours. Would come back every once in a while and ask these really monotonous questions. It was very, very odd, only to finally come back and say, we have decided this is not enough of an emergency to perform a DNC. And what they were saying is that my wife was not close enough to dead, that she did not meet the life of the mother exception to perform the procedure, because technically that procedure is literally and medically an abortion. So they can't perform that because the doctors in Texas face life in prison. So when they decided my wife wasn't close enough to dead, they sent us back home. And I think people need to understand that she was 2 rounds of a drug called misoprostol in. She was bleeding profusely. That drug essentially induces labor. She was having to wear post-labor pads and bleeding through them. And that second hospital sent us back home with another prescription for misoprostol. One more. They were like, just keep taking this drug that's going to make you bleed more, that's going to do this thing to your body to try and complete the incomplete miscarriage, after we were saying, this is not working, it's going wrong, we need something else, this is an emergency, I'm worried. So they sent us back home again. What started on a Thursday and ended on a Sunday, I found her unconscious in our bathroom on Sunday morning. She bled Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, a woman can only bleed so much. And I had to take her, I carried her and put her in our vehicle, and she had to get life-saving care at another hospital, our third. And it's the only time they didn't hesitate to help her, because she was finally close enough to dead. And the other part of your question, why am I out here doing this? Because people don't understand. That's been the thing that since I told our story and it's gone the way that it's gone, I've had the most hateful, ignorant comments, and all it's done is made me more passionate. We have a 1-year-old daughter. There is going to be a time, and I think about this, when she's old enough to ask what happened. And I'm going to have to tell my little girl what happened to her mom. And to have this combination of thinking about my daughter's future and looking at all these ignorant people saying things like, your wife had a miscarriage that has nothing to do with abortion, which is not true. That's ignorant.
Right.
And, you know, any doctor would have performed that procedure. It's not illegal. Again, untrue. That's ignorant. Learning all of this and going through this process has given me this passion, this drive that I didn't know that I had to educate. I've educated myself in the aftermath of this. It was important to me to really understand what happened and try and help people understand that these nightmare stories in Texas can happen to you. If Donald Trump gets elected, I mean, everybody, they love to argue. He will or he will not support a national ban. He will. He absolutely will. Let me tell you, he will. And they love to argue, oh, let's let the states decide. Yeah, he did that, and Texas almost killed my wife. Let's not have either option.
That's right. And thankfully, your wife is okay now, your wife, Jess. And we're so grateful for that. But your story is a microcosm of things that are happening all across the country to women who live in these Trump abortion banned states. Amber Thurman in Georgia lost her life because she lived in a state that criminalized the care that she needed. And she had to travel 20 hours out of state somewhere else to try to get care for the complications she was having, and ended up dying of sepsis because of it. That there's an abortion, a healthcare desert there in the Southeast. And then in Texas, it's, they're looking, doctors could get 99 years if they, performed what the necessary procedures like what your wife needed. So this is real. And this is what the Donald Trump and JD Vance want to inflict on women across the country, regardless of what they claim that they're not in favor of it. Yes, they are. And that's what they'll do. And the people they surround themselves with want to do that also. Ryan, in our final moments here with you, what would you like to say to everyone who's watching. We have almost 20,000 people watching right now, and we're thankful for everyone who's joined us. What would you like to say to them about the work we're doing here at Seneca and the importance of what's happening in this election and what's at stake?
Yeah, what you guys are doing is so important. I'm honored to be involved on any level. And when I first started speaking out, it was brought to my attention that it was rare for a man to speak out. It should not be rare. Any husband, brother, father, what are you doing? Support the women in your life. Don't sit there quietly. Don't call this a women's issue. It is our duty to protect our daughters. If you are a father and you somehow justify voting for Donald Trump, if you are prioritizing other things than the life of your daughter, you should be ashamed of yourself. We can't just pass this to the women that we love. It is our responsibility to protect them and defend them. And if you have placed reproductive rights down your list of issues for this election, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself.
Ryan, powerful, powerful words from someone living it and doing the work. And God bless you. God bless your family and your beautiful wife and your kids. Like we so appreciate your advocacy, and thank you. Thank you for taking the time, Ryan. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Man, his story. If you haven't seen that full video, you got to watch the whole thing. It's wow. Well, speaking of men who are advocates for women, we want to bring in our first very, very, very special celebrity guest tonight. He needs really no introduction. He really doesn't. He is a cultural icon. He is the Jedi Master himself. And we are literally fighting the resistance with the man himself, Mark Hamill. Mark, welcome and thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I have been on so many Zooms. I've never said no. I've been on Zooms with Alexander Vidman, Colin Allred, Ruben Gallego, Gloria Johnson, Debbie Murcassel Powell, and on and on and on. I feel like it's the least I can do. And that's a big change for me. I was always politically aware. I never missed an election, even governor's races and, not just presidential races. It's not just a privilege, but an honor to have your voice heard. But I never did it publicly. I wouldn't go on talk shows and say, vote for this guy or that guy. But this is such a fundamental choice. He's, they say every year, oh, it's the most important election of our lifetime. This time we have someone that's in actual danger to our democracy. I've never seen anything like it. The fact that we can, that they put him up for re-election is shocking enough. But the fact that he's competitive, I mean, it says a lot about our country, because you have to realize how many terrible people live here, racists and xenophobes and misogynists. It's just unthinkable to me. And I get really self-conscious because I've worked in London and in Canada and Serbia and Prague, and they ask me, what's going on in your country? I have no answer. I mean, it's just, and I remember when Roe was overturned, I said, well, there's the election right there, because he's awoken a sleeping giant. There's so many moderate Republican women. No one likes to have rights taken away. And here was a right we've had for 50 years. I have a daughter. I have a granddaughter. I thought this alone will be the deciding factor. But I don't know. I mean, I'm either like an optimist or hopelessly naive, because I want to believe there are more of us than there are of them. There are more good, decent people that respect. I mean, this man is everything that you taught your children not to be. Don't be a liar. Don't be a bully. Don't take advantage of people. You know, and I've said to them too, he said, well, you know, Billy called me a bad name. I said, just ignore him. It's not important what Billy thinks. You know, you're not what he said. And yet we have a candidate who, you know, one person calls him weird and he just goes out on the stump, you know, fighting. Oh, we're not weird. They're weird. I mean,
I call it the Pee Wee Herman, right?
Yeah.
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? Or I meant to do that,
Right.
which is another one of his favorites.
Yes, that's right.
It's just shocking. And by the way, I just read today that in addition to cats and dogs being eaten, and of course he added geese to that menu. Today he didn't specify which particular animal, but he said other animals as well that they shouldn't be eating.
He's such a weirdo. He
makes shit up.
It does. He honestly does. It's so bizarre.
It goes beyond lying. He makes up his own reality, and we're expected to live in it. It's just bonkers. And I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Gary Hart's campaign was just upended because he had someone who wasn't his wife sitting on his lap.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Howard Dean go, yeah. Well, that's over for him.
Scandal.
I'm in search of this man's kryptonite, and I don't know what it is.
Well, we think it's women.
Yeah.
Women are going to be the undoing of Donald Trump. And that's why we are so grateful for those who are supporting Seneca. And we're asking people to continue to support us so that we can keep getting our content out there, because we don't pull punches here. And if you, as you know, Mark, and you've been really supportive, retweeting our content and, you know, coming here tonight and to support us as well, that Donald Trump can't stand it. He cannot stand it when women stand up to him. And one of the issues, Denver was talking about this before, and he just sent a message and said, I hope he didn't include eating Wookiees in that list. Denver, you're always, Denver's hilarious. Denver's also really into like Bigfoot conspiracy theories too. So, you know, you add that to the list. But we wanted to show one of our ads that you retweeted for us and that we would like to get up on air. It's called Hope. And we figured, since you were in A New Hope, this is a different type of hope, but it's all tied in together. This is from the girl dad's perspective on the issue of IVF. Take a look.
It wasn't easy getting here. The loss, the heartbreak. My wife is tough, resilient. She said, we'll just keep trying. I didn't know much about IVF until we needed it. There were moments when all hope felt lost. But we finally got our miracle. From the moment I held her, I vowed to protect her. If it were up to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, our little girl wouldn't even exist. They don't care about the joys, the sacrifices. They only care about their control over our lives and her future. Who the hell are they to tell us how or when we become moms and dads? We know what's best for our families. It's time to stand together, not with any party, but as parents. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz get that. That's why this fall, I'm voting for her. I'm voting for hope.
Very powerful. I mean, it really gets you right here. And, you know, that's what we have on our side. We have the truth. Mm-hmm. We don't have to make up ridiculous stories that only exist in his head. And I have to tell you how grateful I am to everyone that's putting a country over party. So many Republicans, never in my lifetime have I seen so many Republicans vote their conscience. And I can't tell you how impactful that is. I mean, here you have a guy whose own vice president can't support him,
right?
In Mike Pence. It's extraordinary. And all of those people, Stuart Stevens, and I mean, I don't want to list them all, but all the people that you worked with at Lincoln Project, those are all Republicans. I remember because I was mad when they were supporting George W. Bush.
Well,
now we have this, you know, we're all united, and it's because of love of country. My daughter said to me one time, Dad, you shouldn't tweet so many political things because, you know, you upset a lot of your fans. And I thought, I mean, and I tweeted, people that complain about my Trump tweets have to understand I love my country, and I feel it's my duty to oppose this demented sociopath with every fiber of my being.
Amen. Amen.
And my agents or PR people say, well, you might be turning off a lot. I said, no job is worth remaining silent when you have this existential threat to our country. There's no question. I don't care if my career's over forever, as long as I feel like I did my part to try and oppose them with everything I can.
Good for you. It's that level of courage, Mark, that if more people had it on the political side, we wouldn't have Donald Trump and MAGA today.
That's right.
And
I bet there's a lot of sitting congressmen and senators that loathe the guy, but their constituents wouldn't reelect him because they're MAGA. And
that's right.
They're cowards and they're greedy.
That's right. And they want to be relevant. And I often say that cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. And we're watching this happen every single day. Well, I want to thank you for your advocacy, because I was going to ask you, because some people are asking, when did you decide to do this and why? Because you are such a generational icon that stepping out and being this outspoken could risk your career. A lot of others won't do it. And you answered that, and I'm grateful. And we have a very special treat for you, because since you're hanging out with us, you can hang out with us for a little while longer, right? Because we've got some friends of yours coming up.
I'm here as long as you're here.
Good. Well, hang out, because we're going to bring in two, not one, but two of your fellow friends here. Theater Kids Unite. We've got Alex Borstein of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Family Guy, and Tony Shalhoub, also Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and a litany of other amazing movies and shows. Tony, you are new to our Seneca Project circle, and Alex is also on our advisory board and one of our first supporters, and we're so grateful to her and her support. She has lent not only her support, but her talent to us as well. And we're going to show one of our other ads that we are raising money for tonight that we can get up on the air, because it's called We Won't Go Back. And it was voiced by the one and only Alex Borstein.
In July 1848, courageous women came together in Seneca Falls, New York, to start a movement. They dared to fight against treatment as second-class citizens. After decades of struggle, women fought and won the right to vote, to work without discrimination, to control our bodies, to even open bank accounts without the permission of a man. Each one was a triumph against those who believed we didn't deserve them. Well, today, those hard-fought victories are under attack. Donald Trump and his allies are determined to send us back to a time when we had no say, no freedom, no choice.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do we want a future where our daughters have fewer rights than our grandmothers? Where their bodies are state property? Their voices silenced? Their opportunities erased? We say hell no. We won't go back. This November, we must take back what is ours. For ourselves, for our daughters, and for the pioneers of Seneca Falls. It's up to us.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment.
When you did that for us, Alex, first of all, Alex did that in a coat closet on the go for us. She is a professional, folks.
In Brooklyn. I just was among the coats recording it.
And that's how well it came out. We're going to talk a little bit about why this is so important to you, but I just want to get Tony in for part of this conversation, because you're actually in Wisconsin, right, Tony?
I am. I'm here. It's just where I'm from, and I'm just here visiting family. But I want to thank you guys for bringing me into this. So honored that you invited me. Grateful to Alex for wrangling me into it. I'm learning so much more about your organization. But I want to say just at the outset, just for the record, everything I know about women I learned from Alex Borstein. Everything. It just honestly I was kind of just a man in the fog before that, and she's just taught me everything. So thanks, Alex.
You're welcome. I taught him how to grow that beard.
So all those years that you guys are on set with each other on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, it's only now, Tony, that you are thanking Alex for telling everything you know about women?
Everything I know about anything, really. I owe it. Acting, everything.
You're welcome.
But
I would have left that top button undone, but you did okay.
Don't feel bad, Tony. We made Mark change his clothes.
Look at that.
Yeah, see? We made Mark change earlier, so don't feel bad, Tony.
No, I'm thrilled to be with you guys. I have 2 daughters. I have a granddaughter, 19 months. I have several nieces and grand or great nieces, whatever you call them, and even now some great nieces. And so I'm just, it's so important. We tried to teach our daughters to be advocates for themselves. They're wonderful, strong, successful women. And but I'm just so hoping and praying that that things go the right way in this election, so that that they don't have to go backwards. So concerned.
Yeah,
I think that you rightfully set the stage for what's at stake here and how a lot of dads feel. We said before that it was important that we included girl dads in this conversation, and every man that we've had tonight is a girl dad. And you guys bring a perspective to this that I think is often, left out, that people they take it for granted. And our research has found that the most persuadable relationship, the most powerful relationship is between fathers and their daughters. And recently, just this week, that is being shown now in political statistics. All these stories are coming out about how dads, James Carville was talking about this, that relationship since Dobbs, that dads have really started to look at how these policies impact their daughters. And it says, quote, attitudes on a lot of these things are vastly different among white males based on their education. So educated white men over a certain age are starting to take a step back and going, wait a minute. This is what Donald Trump is doing to my daughters and granddaughters. So we felt it was really important to have that perspective in this conversation. And your character in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I hope folks who are watching, we have 20,000 people watching live right now, which is amazing. Thank you. And we are trying to set a goal tonight. So to get these ads on air. So if everyone continues to donate, even if it's $5 or $10, if it's $20, great. If it's $1,000, even better. But we're trying to set a goal tonight to get these ads on air. And we thank you. So keep that coming. Your character in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, you are the dad of the lead character. And you in season 5 give an incredible statement about your realization about your daughter that we want to play, because I think it's an incredibly powerful, especially in this moment.
My daughter was dumped by her husband out of nowhere. That was her saber tooth. Instead of collapsing from the weight, she emerged stronger, a new person. So I thought, but now I think perhaps that was who she was all along. I never really took her seriously. My son, Noah, I took seriously. I would take him to Columbia with me every week so he could dream of what he could be. I don't remember if I ever did that for Miriam. I don't think it ever occurred to me. And as unfathomable as this career choice of hers is, she's doing it on her own with no help from me or her mother. Where did this come from? this strength, this fearlessness that I never had, that my poor son never had. What could she have been if I had helped her and not ignored her, ignored who she really is? My daughter is a remarkable person, and I don't think I've ever said that to her.
Incredible. Alex, what were you thinking at the time when you saw that? Did you think it would have the impact that it ultimately had? Did you feel it in the moment of it? And the show is so incredible, but did you feel it then?
Maisel in general, you mean?
Maisel in general, and that particular scene where
that's the first time I've seen it, so kudos.
No way.
I've only seen the first 6 episodes of the show so far.
Oh wow.
It is, but you know, Amy's writing too is beautiful, and Amy had this kind of special relationship with her father, but I love it. I love the pains that everyone goes through to grow in that show. And Abe grew. He became this man who did not see women in the beginning. He did not see them. And by the end of the show, he sees his wife and he sees his daughter and he sees the error of his ways. And that's like all you can ask from a human being. That's what we hope Seneca Project is going to do, is going to kind of create a way for people to see women that have not seen us and seen what's at stake. So Amy's a masterful writer in that regard.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'd like to thank Amy for supporting Seneca as well. She has been a financial supporter of ours, and we are so grateful. And it's an honor considering how well she writes, how she sees women, and the arc of Maisel and the storyline, again, very prescient for the moment that we're in. When she started the show, no one knew we would be here now, you know? Yeah. And so it's, I'm watching it now. I was late to it. Michelle was there from the beginning. I was late. And watching it now is incredible.
I've watched it many times. I've watched it many times. Mrs. Maisel is that kind of show I watch when I'm feeling bad. I want to feel better. When I'm feeling great and I want to feel great, I always turn it on. It always makes me happy. And there's always a great message. And obviously
it's a great show.
The costumes are also amazing. So
one of the best shows ever.
Oh,
not to mention Monk, another one. I mean, come on.
Well, thank you.
Seriously. No, if you've only done Monk, you'd be one of my favorites. Mrs. Maisel, come on.
Well, the picture, if we can put it back up. As you were talking, Mark, speaking of costumes,
I don't know if you know this. That's me.
That is Michelle Kinney behind you as an extra on the set of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah. I got tomato all down my coat, and actually the costume designer I don't think was very happy about that, but it was fun. It was a great day.
Yeah,
small world.
Yeah,
we did many takes, and I got a lot of tomatoes thrown at me, which incidentally wasn't time.
Mark, how many tomatoes have you had thrown at you?
Oh my gosh, virtually or in person?
Both.
Because that's the thing about theater. I mean, if you do a movie or a TV show that doesn't work out the way you like, you're not physically present. I've been on shows that I loved in New York, and when it didn't get the New York Times review, laughs that had been there for since out of town tryouts, they suddenly disappear. I mean, you finally get them back, but it's painful because they're almost like your children. And if your children is sick or in distress, and you're physically present 8 times a week, so it's much more emotionally impactful than movies or television.
Alex, have you ever had any tomatoes thrown at you in your career over the years?
I have never had tomatoes. I've performed stand up to empty rooms and had people not laugh. I've had people gasp from something I pushed too far, but never a tomato, which is good because it's not good for the heartburn.
Right.
My favorite story of an actor trying to deflect from the reality is he's doing Shakespeare or something. He's doing Hamlet. And the audience is restless at first, and then going through their bill, it gets to the point where they're just outwardly booing him off the stage. And in frustration, he turns to the audience and says, "What do you want? I didn't write this shit." So blame it on Shakespeare.
We could blame a lot of things on Shakespeare, from iambic pentameter on. Go ahead.
I want to add one thing. We were talking about, how is this happening? How is this happening in 2024, the state of where we are politically? And what I like to think is that it's almost a drowning. We've had white men in charge for so long, and it's this last grasp. It's this last trying to hold. They're so afraid of immigrants. They're afraid of women. They want to silence and weaken us, and then they can get rid of half of the voters and not have to deal with us. And that's what I'm hoping, that this is the last messy splash before the water takes them under and we kind of have a calm. But I think that's kind of what happens historically. There is a very messy, noisy death. And that's what I think this is. I think it is a death rattle. And I think it's up to us to kind of get these ads on the air and ensure that we pass the baton, that we do have this transition. It's complete, because I don't want a man up there telling me he's here to protect me. I don't need his protection. And if someone tells you they're there to protect you, it's because they're saying you're under attack.
Right.
Is what that means. And all I need protection for are my rights. I want my rights protected, and then you can step off the stage, sir. And I'm going to be just so.
Exit stage left. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You got to get these ads on the air. If we can't reach people, I'm going to try to canvass in Vegas. We can't be everywhere. We can't knock on every door, but these ads can knock on every door. So one ad is worth, an infantry, and we've got to, we got to do it. We got to talk with our pocketbooks, ladies.
Yes.
Thank you, Alex. That's very true. And now with the way that we do it, we can
I was going to say
target, right?
Yeah, with digital advertising, it's so precise. There's so much data that we can pull from, and we can get down to just the block or a house on a block that we can target and send this message to that needs to hear it. So, digital advertising, it's the present, it's the future. I think it's, we get the best reach, the broadest reach with that.
That's right.
That advertising,
the broadest and most diverse, and
exactly.
It's a little bit different now. I mean, you have the more legacy organizations that they can do the Super Bowl level ads and things like that, and we know where women are watching. It's not, we have that information. It just costs money to get it there, and we can with the digital targeting, we can geofence events. Certain communities, we have all that information. There's an ad that we're working on now that targets military families, speaking from a military woman in the military talking to her dad, called Commander in Chief. North Carolina and Georgia, they have the highest per capita military voters in the country. And those are huge battleground states right now, and that are super razor thin close. Matter of fact, we're seeing record numbers of early voting in Georgia.
Yeah,
we haven't seen the breakdown by gender yet, but I suspect that a lot of those people are women that are voting early now.
Over 300,000 people in Georgia voted early on the first day yesterday. It's just insane.
Incredible.
I am actually tonight going to go drop my ballot in the ballot box at City Hall. So I'm going to make a little video. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Wear your Seneca hat when you do it. There we go. We're in Virginia, where I live. Early voting has started, and I'm going to go and make a plan to go ahead and early vote soon, and do the same thing. It's so important. And for people who live in early voting states, get your vote in, bank that vote now, and continue to spread the word, because we are literally in the fight of our lives right now with what's happening here. Tony, you went to Yale, right? And you come from a very prestigious Yale program there. Michelle went to Syracuse. You are all theater kids. I love this. I come from my mom was on Broadway. She was a theater person. I went to performing arts school for a year, but I have nowhere near the talent that you all have. But we all share something in common in that we appreciate the humanity in all of us. That's part of what the arts bring together. And unfortunately, someone else who went to Yale that you share that school with is JD Vance. And he doesn't seem to appreciate those same things that we do and those same values when it comes to humanity and equality with women and everyone else. I think he's still searching for himself, which we've talked about at length. If you watch our show, The Stakes, that comes on Thursdays at 7:30, we talk about that a lot. But Tony, you're out there in Wisconsin. That's where you're from, battleground state. Are you talking to folks on the ground? What are you doing out there? Tell us what you're hearing out there in your home state of Wisconsin.
Well, as it's obvious, and it's true everywhere in a lot of battlegrounds. I mean, it really is. It feels like it's 50-50. The lawn, the yard signs, everywhere you look, really. I'm actually next week. I'm going to be campaigning with Tammy Baldwin, whose Senate seat is, it's really, really important. And I'm going to be going out with her in the western part of the state. I'm in the northern part of the state, but I'm going to go in the northwestern part of the state and spend a couple of days with her on her bus, actually, and talking colleges, different organizations, and, try to move the needle as much as we can. As a local boy, and I still have a lot of family here. I own property in Wisconsin. I have there's a lot at stake for me here too. So I just want to do whatever I can.
We love that. And to Mark's, I don't know if you heard Mark's comments earlier about the risk that he took professionally to speak out because he feels so passionately about putting country first, and he said that there was no job worth compromising on those issues. Have you come up against any pushback for your advocacy and for speaking out?
No, not that I felt, but I'm with Mark. I mean, my career is over, so I don't really care.
No.
It doesn't really matter. I don't, look, you have to, inevitably you're going to ruffle feathers. You're going to make some enemies in some areas. It's just part of the game. Yeah. And this is just too important to be concerned about those things. I'm just, I've been doing this, well, like the rest of us, been doing this for a very long time, longer than everyone on this chat. But I just assume, and I've been doing it a long time. There have been, lean times and great times, and there's been a roller coaster the whole way. But whatever blowback or pushback that might come out of this, it's fine. I'll just figure out something, and I'll figure I'll land on my feet as I always have.
Alex, yeah, I'm sorry, Tony. Go ahead. I cut you off.
I was just going to say, it's my new mantra. It's not about me. It's not about me anymore. It never really was, but I always thought it was. And now it really isn't. It's really about this much, much larger. It's about the big picture. And it's about our future. And it's about my daughter's future and my granddaughters, all of my nieces and all of my loved ones. That's what it's really about.
Amen. That's for sure. Alex, has there ever been a point where you said, maybe I shouldn't say that? I mean, you part of the reason why we love you is because you are really unfiltered and you're no bullshit like Michelle and I. But have you ever gotten to a point where you were like, maybe I shouldn't say that? Or have you just always been like, fuck this, I'm saying what I want?
No. I mean, as I've aged, I'm trying to learn how to edit and be careful. It's a really scary time to be a woman. It's a scary time to be Jewish. And it is a scary time to be a Democrat. And I'm the trifecta. And it's scary. It's scary to know, you know, you have these times of friend or foe. You put a sign on your front lawn and you're going to find out who your neighbors are.
Yeah.
And you know, you wear a chai around your neck and you're going to find out what some people think of you. And you just walking around being a woman right now. You know, it's a very strange thing to kind of feel. I just saw an incredible film last night called White Bird that I highly recommend, a very small film. And Helen Mirren is in it, and it's kind of moves from modern day and goes back in time to the 40s. And, you know, it talks about the rise of the Third Reich and how slowly things can happen. And one day it's a new law, and one day it's a sign in the window, and your freedoms are gone. And it's the slow creep that's so dangerous and scary. So
yes,
yes, you know, yes, I've definitely felt, you know, social media. That's the biggest difference in what's happening in our world now too. Social media is such a sickness, and people don't have a full attention span. No one is reading articles that are published by journalists and newspapers. They're getting sound bites and drips and drabs from sometimes the wrong people, and disinformation is a business.
Yes.
And it's, so I really, for me, social media, you know, I want to be a place to pass on jokes, have fart jokes and, you know, fun, bizarre pop culture references, and, hey, this new show's coming out, and a way to kind of spread joy. And it's turned into, it's weaponized, and it's terrifying. I'll sometimes turn off comments because I don't want to be abused. I don't want to be abused and threatened all day. So
yeah.
And that's unfortunate. We want more Mark Hamill Jedi Knight themes. Like that's what we lived for on social media.
I never block anyone because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of the screenshot. Mark Hamill blocked you, but I was like muting like a mofo. mute, because they say the most hateful things. And I looked up at the clock and I said, Mark, you have been muting people for almost 20 minutes. Now I do what Alex does. I just don't read them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, which is too bad, because I like to reply to people, you know, sane, rational people, even if they disagree with me. They don't have to, you know, add their go-to pejorative is that I'm a pedophile.
Of course. That's
right. That's what they say about everybody now. If I disagree with you, that's what you are.
Yeah.
But
or we can't define a woman. That's the new one now.
Yeah,
right?
we get that all the time.
We're like, I'm sorry, but we have uteruses and vaginas. I think we know. Like stop. These people are ridiculous.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yes, exactly. Right. I want to bring Denver Riggleman back in because Denver is dying to ask you guys a question, and he's earned it. So Den, you're back.
No, I just took a picture. I only wanted to get on here so I could take a picture with Alex, Mark, and Tony. So I just snapped a picture. So I just want to I just did it because now I can say, look how famous I am. And I could put that on the tweeters. And now look, I'm going to get millions of followers now because of all of you. And I just want to say thanks for coming on here. It was amazing to see you all. And
you're one of my favorite accounts, Denver. So don't sell yourself short. I already follow you.
Well, I know when you said mute like a mofo, I think that's a great t-shirt. And I think that should happen. And I want to tell you, Alex and Tony, I actually do engage on X with complete prejudice, and I try to destroy people. So I just want to let you know that that's how I do things. So, but no, I just appreciate you guys doing this. I think it's one of the coolest things I've seen, and just being a part of this, I think is great. And I think it's a testament to Tara and Michelle. So I just want to get on here because I took a picture as soon as I came on with you guys, so I can see that I'm famous now.
I would rather spend my time quietly behind the scenes, donating where I think I can make a difference, spending my time writing for organizations and people instead of spending 5 hours on social media yelling at someone in their basement who probably isn't wearing pants. Like, I don't.
Well, that's what I tell them, though. You're not wearing pants. And then they get very upset at me. So that's very good. No, but you guys are talking about bad people. You know, I got to see the January 6th stuff. I got to see the text messages that Mark Meadows had, the 2319. That was our team that got them. And the Ginny Thomas text messages. Zach, that was me, to find those. And I think what you're talking about with the abuse and the weirdness that we saw in those things, you guys, I think it's worse now 3 years later than it was then. So
actually, Den, hold on a second, because I want to show something that people need to see, and we can get all of your reactions as we're watching it, because this is actually we put together this compilation of some Christian nationalists and some of the things that they say about women that people have no idea about. And Denver traffics in this stuff all the time. And I think people need to see it. And this is part of what we do at Seneca, is bring this information to people. So we appreciate it. We're up to almost 25,000 people watching right now, which is amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Keep it coming in and supporting us. We appreciate this. We're going to show another piece of our content and get everybody's reaction to it. It's if you have kids watching, I suggest you either earmuffs or mute this part of it, because it's pretty graphic.
The reason why I have grown to despise democracy, everyone is allowed to vote, right? Everyone. And just for the record, I think the 19th Amendment should be repealed. I think that because, well, first and foremost, because I'm a Christian, and that is the Christian position. Oh my gosh, you're saying that? Yes, that is the Christian position. By repealing the 19th Amendment, just for the record, it's not just trying to take away a female vote, but it's trying to say, no, there's a family vote. Right. There's a household. And it's like, well, where do women get their voice? Where women get their voice is from their father, from their husband. If they're not married, it's from their father. If they're not married and their father is dead, it's from their brother, it's from their uncle, it's the men in their lives that love them.
I've been accused of being sexist and misogynist, and for whoever's accused me of that, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And fuck you, you feminist twats. When you're in your ego and your desire to gain power by still using your sexuality, you can't get ahead. You can only get ahead by either fucking more powerful men or suing more powerful men or shitting on more powerful men. You can't get more powerful independently. Imagine that. That's why they get desperate, feminists do, because they can't get ahead without either giving head or taking a head off in the court.
A lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
When women were granted the right to vote, the nation had already accepted the lie that a nation is nothing more than a collection of individuals. And so the matter was framed this way. Men as individuals can vote, so why cannot individual women do the same? We were so muddled, we thought we were giving the franchise to women when we were in fact taking it away from families.
People are like, that's so archaic. You're a Neanderthal. You're so, primitive and chauvinistic. You won't let women vote. Well, our society doesn't let 5-year-olds vote. We don't let children vote, and it's not just because of competency, because that would be the immediate counter as well. But their brain isn't fully developed, and so are you saying that a woman is like a child? Yes.
What do you say? I mean,
it's not because they're Christians; it's because they're idiots. And my grandfather was incredible with sayings. I know we have incredible actors and comedians on here, but he said, God blessed most people with a head and an ass, but some he blessed with 2 asses. And I think that's what you have with the people that we're seeing right now. And what they're saying about women, I just think you're to a point that there's something very wrong with these individuals mentally. I think they're mentally ill.
And you see, this is not just a one-off, right? Like this is an entire undercurrent of what's going on in the right-wing media ecosystem out there in the interwebs that those of us who live on Earth 1, we don't have any idea of how bad it really is. And these are the people that Donald Trump and JD Vance and MAGA, that's who they're surrounding themselves with, right? Like, we're not blowing this out of proportion.
There's not big separation between them and Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Not a big separation with them and the Council for National Policy, the Conservative Partnership Institute, Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society. So you can go down the line, and a lot of these people are at these same events with these individuals. So there is really not that much separation there.
It's incredibly alarming. And we wanted to show that because when Michelle put that together, we were like, should we bleep it out? Should we, how should we do it? Should we censor it? And we were like, no, because this is what's really going on. And this is the world that Donald Trump and MAGA is mainstreaming. People who think that women we shouldn't have access to birth control, that we shouldn't have any agency over our own bodies, that you shouldn't get divorced. They're coming for no-fault divorce. Missouri tried to criminalize pregnant women. If they wanted to get divorced while pregnant, they were trying to say no. We heard from Ryan Hamilton earlier about what's happening in Texas. This is what will scale up. This is what's at stake for women. I mean, our democracy is under attack too, and that's really important because if that goes, everything else goes with it. But specifically for women, this is what we're facing. We don't want these people in power. That's what we're doing here. So we wanted to bring back, I think Ryan is still with us and Mary, to have some closing thoughts with everyone, because we're so grateful for all of you spending all this time with us. Oh, like I said, almost 25,000 people are watching this right now and are contributing to our cause to help get our Seneca Project content up on the air. Please keep those donations coming in. In our closing moments here, I wanted to start with Mary. And we're going to go around with everyone with their final thoughts as we wrap up this night tonight about, we're only, less than 3 weeks away from this election. There's just so much at stake. Mary, you're first.
Well, first of all, again, thank you so much for asking me to join you tonight. And again, I'm so honored to be on the advisory board of the Seneca Project. I so believe in this work. It's incredibly necessary, unfortunately. And hopefully it won't be forever, but it is right now. And Tara, I'm just reminded of a conversation you and I had a long time ago, actually, about how we need to approach this incredible crisis we're in. We need to put on the metaphorical brass knuckles. This is a fight that we need to meet head on, and we can't pull punches. We can't normalize any of it. We can't whitewash any of it. The viciousness, the misogyny, the ignorance that we're up against is dangerous. And so many women are at risk. And if we're not going to meet this challenge now, I'm not sure we're going to have an opportunity after this election. So again, I'm so grateful to be in such company and to have a platform to help people just be real about what we're facing. And I think, again, the work that the Seneca Project is doing is so vital, because you guys get to the heart of the challenges and the kinds of suffering that is being experienced by so many women and men and families in this country because of people like Donald Trump and JD Vance and a Republican that has absolutely abdicated to them and their misogyny, and their willingness to make women second-class citizens, to elevate people like the men in that last ad you showed.
Thank you so much for that, and we appreciate you, Mary, and we're proud to be in this fight with you as well. Ryan Hamilton, final words for us tonight.
Yeah, first of all, thank you again for having me. Honored to be here. Tara, as you know, at the request of the vice president, which is unreal to me, I've been traveling around at campaign events for her and for other people running for office, hoping to flip a seat. And they've used me as an example, and I'm happy to do this, but used me as an example to go. I was just in New Hampshire. Hey, New Hampshire, this is what your reality could be. Listen to this story, listen to this man. And I'm not the only one. My friends Amanda Zarowski and Kate Cox and all of the others that people have heard from. I think that it is so important that us sharing and us doing this work feels worth it. I want it to feel worth it. I go do these events, and I've been all over at this point telling this story, and it's hard to tell. And I've received real death threats. The white nationalists you were just talking about came after me with old rhetoric, kill a commie for Christ. And you have to understand it's not easy to get out and do this. And I'm so thankful for the support of, the Seneca Project and my friends Amanda and Kate and all of those people that are out there with me telling these stories. But I pray, and I've seen it said, women, your husbands don't have to know who you vote for. I pray that I just want it to feel worth it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Believe
me.
I want it
it
to
makes
be
a
worth
lot
it.
of sense.
Yeah.
We say it all the time. This can't all be for nothing.
Yeah.
This cannot all be for nothing. There's so much on the line. Alex, one of her iconic speeches at the Emmys, because we have Emmy Award winners here with us, Alex and Tony. She tells a story about her family. Was it your grandmother, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You should tell the story, the step out of line story.
Yeah, my grandmother's a Holocaust survivor and was in line to be shot into the Danube. When I was on stage at the Emmys, I told it wrong, in Budapest. And she had my mother in a stroller. She was a baby, a little baby buggy, and her 10-year-old niece with her. And they were in line to be shot. And she turned to the Hungarian soldier doing the dirty deeds for the Nazis and said, "What happens if I step out of line?" And he said, "I don't have the heart to shoot you, but somebody will." And she stepped out of line. And here I am. And my kids are next door waiting for me to make dinner right now. And none of this would be a reality if she hadn't stepped out of line. So the message is step out of line, ladies.
That's right. Another inspiration for us at Seneca Project, when Michelle and I were coming up with the idea and putting this together. And our mutual great friend, Andrew Apodaca, who introduced Alex to us when he mentioned that you would be interested in this. And Michelle said, "Oh my gosh, Alex's speech at the Emmys is one of my mantras." It inspired Michelle, and she sent it to me. And I said, "Oh my gosh, that is absolutely what we do here at the Seneca Project. We encourage women to step out of line. You have to step out and do the right thing, even when it's difficult. And in this election, that may be going against what your neighbors or your dad or your husband or your own family members are doing, but you know in your heart what the right thing is to do. And we're actually getting ready to start an initiative at the Seneca Project called My Ballot, My Choice. It used to be My Body, My Choice. Well, now it's Your Ballot, Your Choice. Ryan actually teed that up quite well. He didn't even know it. We have T-shirts that say it, My Ballot, My Choice. Senator Barbara Boxer is on our advisory committee as well. And she talked about this as a young girl, as she would go to the voting booth with her mother. And her mother would say, "Shh, don't tell your father." Women, you have privacy in the ballot box. Is one of the last sacred places where women have privacy. And now more than ever, the urgency of using that privacy to cast your ballot the way you know you want to, for your own rights and your daughters and granddaughters, and for the sake of our rights and democracy. It's your ballot, your choice, and no one has to know that. Denver, you're up next.
Well, it's great that I get to follow Mary, Ryan, and Alex after all that. Thanks a lot. That was amazing. So I'm just going to talk about something a little simple here. For all the great things to happen, there's one word: math. So with everybody out there right now, give. Even if it's $5 or $10, give right now. I'm going to be very short here. We have awesome people here. Give. Just do it. Reach in. Give right now. Hold on a second. Give right now. So that's what I want you to do, so that you can actually back up the incredible stories and incredible people on this show tonight. And I hope everybody does that. I'm here for the long term with the Seneca Project, because we have the best people in the world here. And thank everybody for coming here tonight. But give. GIVE now.
Thank you, Den. We love you. And you're tired. I know you've been rallying with the vice president today, so you're free to go now, Den. Thank you.
I love you all. Thank you.
Love you.
You guys are great. The best.
Tony Shalhoub. Yes, I know. Poor Denver. He's been all over today. Tony Shalhoub, you are up next. Final words, and before you say anything, we just want to thank you again, and from the bottom of our hearts. It's incredible what you've done, and that you're here with us, especially with Alex. What a tag team, and Mark. But final words from you as we wrap it up tonight.
Well, all I want to say is I was at a fundraiser last night in New York. It was actually for Kamala Harris, and Doug Emhoff was there. Her husband was there and spoke. And it was a small group. It was maybe only about 25 or 30 large donors. And it was just so inspiring. And you know, the point is, what he was really talking about is, we've been doing this now for weeks, for months. He kept apologizing for how he looked. He said, please, don't judge me. I know I look terrible. I'm exhausted, but we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep pushing. She is working nonstop. He was urging all of us to just keep going. There's not that much time left. Just have to leave it all on the playing field. And the same is true for the Seneca Project. I'm sure that a lot of your viewers have already donated. There's no crime in donating a second time or a third time. I'm going to donate. You have to donate. Please, there's still time, and it's so important. This is crunch time. It's urgent, but this is, the more we do and the more we give, the more positive we can feel. And that's what everybody needs right now. We need to not fall into negativity or despair, or, we have to shut out the noise that's coming from every quarter, and just stay focused on the task at hand. And that is the next 3 weeks. So thank you for having me. Thanks for giving me this chance.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you. We appreciate you, and keep up the great work out there in Wisconsin. We got to bring that state home too. And I'll let it go that you are a Packers fan, because I'm a Giants fan, so that's okay.
That's all right. I'm sorry for you, but
I know. I did want to say one last quick thing before we go to Alex. I know she's got to go too, but I know that you got your start when you were quite young in The King and I, which is one of my husband's favorite shows ever, along with West Side Story. So, et cetera, my friend Tony Shalhoub. Thank you. Alex, final words.
I think I already said it. Step out of line. Do it. Step out. Donate if you can donate. If you can't, knock on doors. Do it in person, but take a step.
I think that was perfect, and we appreciate you, and we thank you so much, Alex, for all your great work and your talent and your humor and your commitment to it. And it is a pleasure to be on the same team with you as well, Alex, the one and only Alex Borstein. Thank you so much. All right, we save the Jedi Master for last. But before we give Mark Hamill his final words, I would like to show our closing ad, because I think it is powerful. Michelle said we've got to end on this one because it really drives the message home. And I think it's a great way to tee up Mark and his final comments on this. So we would like to show you our ad, We Must Win, voiced over by the Tony-nominated wonderful Laura Bell Bundy, who's also an advisory board member of the Seneca Project. But she's on tour right now with, is it Hairspray that she's doing?
There's like a reunion of the Hairspray.
Yeah, reunion
she's
tour.
doing a bunch of concerts and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, but we also have an ad that we are in production that we're hoping to make called American Girl, that from Laura Bell Bundy. But she voiced this one, and it's called We Must Win. Take a look.
From the 6 a.m. practice to the away game pickup, from her first goal to the state finals, from the big wins to the big lessons, we take care of all the little things. We do these little things so our daughters can achieve big things. We do all of this for their future. And this fall, that future is on the line. We have come so far, but we have one big thing left to do for our daughters. Their rights are on the ballot, and we won't go back. Not now, not ever. This fall, we will go for the gold, and we must win for them.
We must win for them.
Nice.
Wow.
Mark Hamill.
Well, first of all, I am grateful to have been a part of this. I can't say it more perfectly than what Tony said. So it's unfortunate I have to follow him because he really ticked off all the boxes. Mary, so grateful that you're willing to share your life experience, and who would know better firsthand than an actual family member, and Ryan to be willing to relive such a horrible, tragic story that you'd want to memory hole forever, but to be willing to go out and share what you went through as a warning to so many others that are going to face the same issues. So thank you for that. All I can say is MAGA seems to believe anything that comes out of his mouth. So I hope they will follow what he said yesterday and get out there and vote on January 5th. That's a fingers crossed.
Oh my goodness, because he loves the poorly educated.
Yes, and now we know why.
Yeah.
It's but no, we've got to listen. It's, as they say, pedal to the metal all the way to election day, because there's no way we could be more highly motivated, because we know he says what he's going to do. I mean, if I had the Project 2025, I'd keep it under wraps, Shh, be quiet. Don't tell him this is what we're going to do if we get in. No, he's got to get out there. J.D. Vance wrote the introduction to the book. I mean, it's terrifying. Anybody that's on the fence, I don't know who could be undecided at this point, just Google Project 2025. Hey, they're going to ban porn. How does that set with all the MAGA crowd?
Yeah.
But worse than that, I mean, the Department of Education firing 50,000 civil servants and putting in sycophants. He's, there's a reason he's so enamored of Orban, is that Orban was elected democratically, then shut down all the media and put all of his people in place. And now he's effectively a dictator. And that's exactly what he wants. And he's told you that.
Yep.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be a lot more. He only needs day one, because by that time it'll be too late. So right. Vote. When we vote, we win.
That's right. And we must win for them.
Yes.
Michelle Kinney, final words before we wrap it up tonight.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is watching, everyone who has contributed in whatever way that you can. And of course, to our esteemed panel who has joined us and is supporting us just by being here. And we're just so thankful for your support. There's just one thing I say to Tara pretty often, is that the most dangerous thing that we can do is have a lack of imagination. Because there are things that we were talking about in 2020 that seemed so crazy, so far-fetched, and now I look back and we weren't hysterical enough, quite frankly. If you can imagine it, they're already planning it. So I say all that with, there is something that can stop them, and that's us. There are more of us than there are of them. And we are more hopeful. We have better hearts in a lot of ways. And we want a better future for our country, because you know what? Democrats love their country too. And I have this flag behind me. I got that at the DNC. I've never seen a display of patriotism like that from the Democratic Party, I think, in, all 20-something years that I've been a member of it. And it's really an incredible moment, not only to be a Democrat, but to be an American and to be an American woman. And we can't do this alone. It's going to take all of us. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of you.
Amen, Michelle. I echo everything that my illustrious co-founder just said. And it is an honor to be on the team with her in this bipartisan coalition that we have built with Seneca Project. It's so important. We don't care who you voted for before, just as long as you don't vote for Donald Trump this time. You can work that out in therapy why you supported him once or twice before. But right now, we need to focus in on making sure that Donald Trump is defeated and that he never, ever steps foot near the White House again and ever has any levers of power, because that will be the end of our democracy. And once you lose it, you don't get it back. And I often say that democracy does not defend itself. It doesn't. Democracy is an active, citizen-based participatory thing that we have to maintain. And they work for us, we the people. And if we want to govern a government that is of, for, and by the people, we have to make sure that we get out there and we vote people into office who believe in those same principles. We may argue over healthcare policy or marginal tax rates or, climate change and things, and all those things are important. But what we do share is our belief in America and in the promise of America, the equality under the law, under our Constitution, and our democratic norms and institutions. And Donald Trump and MAGA represent a threat to all of that. And for us as women in particular, it's literally life or death. So with that said, I want to say thank you to everyone. I want to say thank you to everyone who has supported us, everyone who is watching us. Please follow Seneca Project at Seneca Project US on all of the accounts. Go to our website, senecaproject.us. You can see all of our content there on our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tell your friends, tell your family to come help and support us, because if we galvanize women, we can save democracy. And together we can win. Thank you to Tony, to Mary, to Ryan, to Mark Hamill. I'm fangirling over this, and I forever will. From the day that you first wished me a happy birthday 4 years ago, I cannot get over that Luke Skywalker wished me a happy birthday, and this will forever be etched in my mind. We love you. And to Alex and to Denver and to everyone on our advisory board, Maria Cardona, Rena Shah, Senator Boxer, folks that I don't know if they were with us tonight. Everyone's kind of around, but we're so grateful to all of you. And let's go win this. Let's go defeat Donald Trump and win this for them. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
We trust women.
There's a threat facing women in America that transcends party lines.
My country doesn't care about me.
And it's time we ask ourselves, do we still value the freedoms we have fought so hard for?
We should all have the care that we need.
This election is a choice, and it is a time for choosing. We're told we have to choose between left or right, but we know what the real choice is. It's a choice between our freedom or their control, between our right to determine our own destinies or Donald Trump. So seriously, America, what the hell are we doing? We can't sit on the sidelines while women in America suffer and die because a right we once had has now been criminalized. If we don't make the right choice, there's no state to escape to. There's no going back. Choosing who will shape our future is a right we still have left for now. And that choice is up to us.